He's played in pretty much every single position. Started out with the AD carry, did fantastic there. He's now moving on to the jungle. I think their actual jungler is Azael, subbed for support the other day, and now Saturn is back into his place. So again, the fact that they're a group of friends, that they're able to mix and match their roster like this, lends to their credibility and their strength as a team. As far as Nidalee, maybe it's just something that AVI is more comfortable on, but we'll see what direction they decide to go for the jungler. On the other side, though, it's the Morgana response to Thresh and Jinx in response to Kalista, so picking up another hyper AD carry.
Now, this is an interesting one. I really like the Kalista pick for this team, as we do see the Scion locked in for Wild Wang in the top lane. That's really more options to set up that great Scion ult, and Wild Wang has proven that he can really be that hyper carry, well, not a hyper carry, but that carry Scion top laner, consistently landing the decimating smashes, getting the unstoppable onslaught right into the middle of 5, has been on point with the CC, and of course, Kalista having a way to throw Thresh into the backline and lock people down is only going to make it easier for him to land that. Lee Sin also locked in for I'm AVI. Now, this one is a bit of a surprise. Lee Sin, not very popular in any region currently. Obviously, just the strength of other junglers, the Cinderhulk meta, and his reoccurring theme of getting nerfed is just not really going in his favor. But if I'm AVI is confident, Lee Sin obviously still has that early game playmaking power. It's going to be difficult to do so against this Morgana Jinx bot lane, though. How do you feel about this 2v2 matchup?
Kalista versus Thresh, Morgana and Jinx need to get out of that matchup. Kalista is so oppressive in the early lane phase, especially her level 2 power spike, just because of the damage that she can do on Rend. 9 times out of 10, we see people lane swap out of it or play incredibly passive. Jinx is going to get more kill pressure when she hits level 6 and she has that execution available on a rocket, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a lane swap actually coming from Crewcade, because they've lane swapped pretty much every single game that they've had in the AlphaDraft series. Last lock-ins, though, for Elomingle on the side of blue is going to be LeBlanc and Maokai.
And I'm AVI is, of course, their analyst, so if there's anyone who can walk them through the proper lane swap, it's probably him. So we'll have to see if they try to go with that one once again. And Arc second on LeBlanc. Now, this is a real terror pick. Usually, LeBlanc is banned very early in the draft phase, but now it's being picked last rotation on blue side. Curious to see that this one made it through so far, but it looks like Zergby has an answer, and we're going to see Kasten versus LeBlanc in the mid lane. This is a matchup I did not expect to see whatsoever, but Kasten, obviously rising in popularity, was picked up in the Korean semifinals. And also just LeBlanc making it through. So interesting mid lane picks overall.
Very strong, more scaling on the side of Zergby having that Kassadin. Lane phase, especially early levels, should be decently rough against Arc Second. The advantage that Arc Second really picks up with this LeBlanc pick as far as his team is concerned, because technically late game, mid game, Kassadin and LeBlanc are both going to be assassins and play a very chase pick style, is that Arc Second is going to have a lot more wave clear available to him as opposed to Zergby's Kassadin. And Zergby has really been favoring Orianna throughout this tournament, so good to see him kind of mix it up.
Well, we'll have to see how he can perform on, I guess, a sort of a late game, more assassin-style character or more mobility-focused character in the form of Kassadin, as opposed to that Orianna pick, which is mostly about the team fight, the utility. Obviously, it has a lot more variety in what she can do, whereas Kassadin feels pretty much like he just wants to blink into the team, do some damage, blink out, and it's just going to be that rinse and repeat pattern. And we'll have to see if this is something Zergby's practiced or if this is something he's picking because he feels like it does well against LeBlanc in the mid lane.
Certainly will say, but I think my featured matchup is actually going to go down into that jungle. Now, typically, like you said, Lee Sin, he's not really in the inner meta for jungle picks. Still about that Gragas, Sejuani, and Rek'Sai, but when people do pick Lee Sin, it's because they find comfort on him. And the fact that AVI is their analyst, is their sub coming in, doesn't normally play jungle for them. Maybe this is just his hot streak jungler, and we'll see if his disengage, his kickback, is able to save his team from that hard engage of Maokai and Sejuani.
And we will have to see. We, of course, have 2 minutes left on the spectator delay. In the meantime, guys, head on over to alphadraft.com. Make yourself an account. Draft your players. Obviously, a lot of changes this week. You should have email updates on everything that's been going down. Sorry to you guys that we've had so many changes recently, but we should have a more stable roster for AlphaDraft now. And, of course, go over, draft your team, pick your favorite players, pick your winners, and win as much as you can. And in the meantime, tweet out with hashtag AlphaDraft Challenger League, hashtag ADCL. Let us know your thoughts, let us know your lineups, and anything else. We'll be back in a few minutes.
but she said trust me. These are the stories we will tell. As I stood frozen, infinite, I almost fell. But I got a feeling and my heart starts beating, a sudden rush of feeling alive. This is freedom and I won't change, I won't phase out. I'm no ghost, let me
All right, everybody, welcome back to the first game of the day for the AlphaDraft Challenger League. It's going to be Elomingle on the blue side, starting in the top lane. Big ol' Ron on that Maokai pick. Zeriab in the jungle. Sejuani, Arc second with that mid lane. LeBlanc, Moonway, and Biofrost with the Jinx Morgana combo. We'll have to see if they actually go bot, though.
And on the red team, it's going to be Crewcade. It's Wildfang on his signature Scion, though he doesn't much care for playing it. He's made some mad plays already. I am AVI, their support and analyst, coming in for the jungler on Lee Sin. Zerg taking Cassin in that mid lane, and the Nubitar and Saturn pulling up Callista and Thresh in the 2v2 bot.
Already you can see the early vision getting dropped down. Looks like we might have that that brush on the top side ward. What is that for? Is that a lane swap ward? What do you think is the thought behind that one?
Which one are you referring to? The very top side?
Yes, yes.
Though it's been popularized. I don't know if you watched the LGD versus EDG final in LPL, but Acorn and Imp made some pretty sneaky plays where Imp snuck in through the top to look for the lane swap, but Acorn showed in the river, so they suspected that it was going to be the top laner heading top, but the AD carry slipped in undiscovered by walking in through the back of those brushes. So that's effectively all that ward is really going to check for.
Well, it looks like it might... It doesn't look like it's actually going to spot anyone out, and it looks like we might have a predictive lane swap coming in here from Moonway and Biofrost. Trying to swap. No ward to predict this on the side of Nubitar and Saturn, so they will go to the bot lane, and they will be uncontested, at least as far as farm goes. We'll have to see what the early game strategy is going to be. Looks like Scion going to start on that Raptor camp. Lee Sin with the standard Krug start, Sejuani at the Gromp as well. So standard starts from both sides, a little bit of a lane swap here, but nothing too crazy.
The question is always, what type of lane swap is it going to be? Now, there's two types. There's a freeze and there's a fast push. Now, typically with Jinx, she's really good at fast pushing just because she kills towers so easily. But if you're avoiding Callista and you're waiting for Jinx to find her power spike through her levels and to get more survivability in that lane, you may look towards a freeze. Especially because Maokai very safe as a 2v1 top laner, and that actually looks exactly like what Moonway's going to do.
Well, here's the big thing here, is that it looks like Nubitar and Saturn are just going to swap back, head on over to the top lane, but Big Ol' Ron has already burned that TP, so it will be the 1v1 matchup down in the bot lane as Wild Wang is headed there as well. Saturn and Nubitar did start the Gromp. They won't be too far behind in experience as they enter this lane, but it looks like we will have the 2v2 top. I'm curious to see if we'll see some early pressure from Lee Sin here on the top side of the map.
Kind of curious that they wasted so much time and lost their experience lead just to make sure that they found this 2v2 matchup. So we'll see if Nubitar and Saturn are able to make the most of it and to get an early kill. That said, Biofrost Moonway, get the level 2. And the binding.
Not going to be too much follow-up just yet, so they're not really getting any advantage at this stage. Jinx at 7 farm, Callista at 3. Of course, one of those farm, though, is the Gromp. So it's not the most telling score, at least at this stage of the game. Mid lane about even. Bottom lane, full of top laners, about even as well. So, pretty solid across the map, although Moonway taking a pretty big hit chunk of health there. That Callista passive, just so strong.
I mean, effectively, with this delayed swap back over, it's not really going to affect the junglers just because there's no numbers advantage to either side of the map. So both junglers will get both their respective side buffs. Likewise, it's not going to affect the top laners and disparity of the CS. It's really just about, can Callista impact Jinx?
Now, one of the big tough things about this matchup for Saturn is that he is playing against Biofrost. Biofrost, of course, known for his proficiency on hook champions, and it's just going to be so comfortable trading there. Similarly, on the bottom side, Wild Wang, in a tough spot, never going to be able to use Decimating Smash effectively as long as Maokai has Twisted Advance, because Maokai can just duck right under that, as you saw him do there. So, some tough lane matchups for sure. A lot of players with a lot of experience as the meta has kind of stabilized now, moving into the next patch.
That said, if we get less about skirmish action and making response rotational plays to one team getting an advantage on one side of the map and the other team kind of responding on the other side, it creates an elongated laning phase, and that's pretty much exactly where Zergby wants to be on this Kassadin. Now, obviously, initially in lane swaps, the mid lane is the least effective lane, although he is getting ganked right now by Zeriab.
Biofrost has to be careful. I headed in on the top side, but Arcsecond could be in trouble. Zergby could be taken down as well. It looks like he will drop. First blood, though, going to go over to Thresh in the top lane. Please. They do manage to pick up that kill onto Morgana. Of course, traded with that kill on the Kassadin in the mid lane, but just by a split second, Thresh will pick up the first blood, so Arcsecond denied at least 100 gold in that trade.
Likewise, the disparity of where these golds ended up, so the Thresh, the support, picking up the kill versus the mid laner on that LeBlanc. Obviously, you would much rather have the kill gold on your carries. And we'll see how this continues to impact the mid lane, and if perhaps this lead that Arcsecond got will impact the rest of the map with possible roams.
Curious to see as well, of course, Wild Wang and Big Ol' Ron still in that endless tank battle on the bottom side. Moonway, though, having a little bit more trouble farming safely under this turret. Nubitar, of course, doesn't really have enough range to harass him safely, but you can see a very small CS lead slowly being built up on that, mostly from the gank pressure on the top side. And pretty even across the map. Of course, Big Ol' Ron, though, about 10 CS ahead, and that's mostly just because he looks so much more comfortable on this Scion pick overall.
It's also much easier to sustain in Elena Scion with that flask available to him, whereas Maokai started the Doran's Ring, and again, with the most recent nerfs to Maokai, he won't have a sustain on his passive backup until level 7 and 13 respectively.
Nubitar caught out, though. Could be in trouble here. The zap goes down. Doesn't look like they want to follow this one up. No better than to engage too hard, but a lot of poke put down onto Nubitar on that Callista pick. Moonway hooked out as well, though. Could be in trouble. Black Shield going to go down a little bit too late, however. Not going to block out any major form of CC. Saturn blocked out. Biofrost could be in trouble himself. Zap coming out as well. And this is such an even lane matchup. It looks like every time I see a trade go in one side's favor, the other side makes one back just immediately.
Still think Nubitar definitely has the edge, however, also because he's potting up and has quite a substantial health lead on Moonway, but also Callista's damage, again, is just so potent. We've seen Moonway have an incredible performance on Callista before. Did not translate into a victory, but he was almost able to hard carry his team to victory on Callista, so definitely giving that champion a ton of respect.
And I believe he actually did hard carry his team. After
Did
that
he end up winning
Thursday,
that game?
yeah, on Friday. No, on no Thursday. There was the Thursday cast that you did, of course, and he ended up losing that game after going like 11-2-7, I believe, and then
Just
the
an
next
absurd
day.
performance on Calista.
Yeah, and the next day, of course, he managed to do it, rinse and repeat, try it again, and it worked out for him. So obviously very comfortable on Calista. Maybe not as comfortable on Jinx. We're going to have to see, though.
But it's so funny because Moonway traditionally isn't an AD carry main. Obviously, as he transitioned into this role, he's going to be, but I mean, you know him as a Nidalee player.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll have to see if this affects him negatively and if his champion pool is going to be bigger.
Wow.
No, looks like he may go down here. Binding.
Beautiful binding.
Traps and just flawless performance from these two. Biofrost knowing his own damage output very well. IMAVI and Zergby, though, pushing in for this blue buff. Looks like they may try to get something back in exchange. Zergby could be in trouble here. The kick's going to come out. IMAVI following it up. Not going to have too much chase. Zergby may go over the wall. Has to be careful on this one, though. They are getting collapsed on. There's so much vision in this area. Two wards going down. They're sticking around, and they don't have the man advantage here. Nubitar just free farming on the top side, though, as Wild Lang and Big Old Ron trade back and forth. This blue buff gonna go down to IMAVI. He will get it, but he could go down for it. Cassidy trying to trade back. Could be in trouble. Wild Lang gonna get soloed out here by Big Ol' Ron. Not quite. Might make it out. Oh my, it's Zapperling not gonna be enough as he cracks the pot, and I keep thinking people are gonna go down and they keep making it out. Every member of Crewcade caught in tough spots, but not a single one going down except for Saturn on the top side.
A big issue of that was kind of a misstep from Arcsec and Elomingle's mid laner there. He didn't get involved soon enough for how healthy he was in that LeBlanc to allow his jungler to walk back over to that blue buff. So kind of a miscommunication right there. I feel like LeBlanc should have responded much quicker, especially because Elomingle had the numbers advantage since they had gotten the kill in the top lane.
Look how determined they were to take that blue buff. So much vision put on the top side. They committed even when they knew they didn't have the man advantage. And of course, both of them barely making it out. And IMAVI now level 6 as well. So we'll have to see. He's done pretty well on the Lee Sin so far. Rushed the early Sightstone. And now I'll have to see if he can make an impact with that Dragon's Rage.
We'll also see as these teams start to rotate their 2v2 back to the bottom side of the map. I have no doubt the Moonway is going to clear out this, go back by, and also rotate down. Actually hanging around to get some pressure on this tower. Are they going to try to trade objectives?
See, Wild Lang clearing this one out pretty well. The fully charged Decimating Smash along with that shield going to do a very good job of clearing it out. But taking a lot of poke here from Moonway. Moonway on that Jinx is going to clear this tower very quickly. And it looks like the focus is going to be on Dragon as Lee Sin, Calista, and Thresh move down to secure that one. They may have a little bit harder time taking this turret as a follow-up, though, as Big Ol' Ron just has excellent wave clear as well, along with a little bit more AP to improve that.
And this was really the question with Moonway and Saturn not, or excuse me, Moonway and Biofrost not deciding to back if they're going to trade the objectives. It looks like it will be, especially with the added presence of Zeriab rotating to that top lane, just to make sure that Wild Lang has no means to get close to that tower and clear it off.
And of course, between the single turret as well as the additional kill, we've seen about a 2k gold lead assembled. Of course, a pretty substantial farm discrepancy between these top laners, 91 to 74. So only 10 minutes in, and Elomingle already looking pretty dominant. We'll have to see if they can continue to snowball objectives as the rest of the team looks a little scattered. A lot of emphasis on the bottom side of the map, even though Dragon is not there from the side of Crewcade.
They definitely made the most of that lane swap. We'll see where they rotate now, if they're going to keep Moonway and Biofrost up into that top side lane and continue to pressure, or maybe rotate them mid or bottom. They are starting the bracks now.
Nubitar CSing quite easily, but not able to provide too much pressure onto this turret, so additionally going with the BF sword instead of any form of attack speed, so won't have nearly as much mobility. LeBlanc headed down to the bottom side. Arcsec, of course, going to get spotted out before he makes it into there, and of course IMAVI waiting off to the side. He try to get some pressure down here, but has to be careful about how he approaches this, as we now see Jinx and Morgana swapping back. I don't think they've been discovered quite yet.
They should be able to make a play here because Big Ol' Ron has teleport available. Although he's missing a big wave and a lot of pressure on his tower, they need to act.
Wild Lang pushing in on the top side, may be able to get this turret. IMAVI and Zergby hovering around Zeriab. Zeriab, of course, has the Glacial Prison available. Gonna get kicked out of the fight. Is gonna get the two-man stun. We'll have to see if Zergby wants to follow up. IMAVI gonna die here. Is it going to be the 1-for-1 trade? It looks like it. We'll have to see if this Kassadin can duel the LeBlanc. It's a little bit early for that. Zergby, of course, with a much larger mana pool and going, but not going to get tank the chain there, so maybe able to get out. Arcsecond has no mana. May have to back off this one. That blue buff that he took earlier paying off for him. Sion finally going to get the top turret, the 2v2 maintained in the bottom side. Zergby just out of tower range, maybe able to make it out of this one. Does make it over the wall. LeBlanc headed through the base gate, trying to make his way to Sion. Zergby could be in trouble. Gonna get the magic damage shield, trying to duel out here. Picking the wrong target, but of course Arcsecond, no mana. Unstoppable Onslaught being used. The clone used to block it. Arcsecond, kind of dangerous game there, but coming out on top. The 1-for-1 trade overall, but does burn.
Here comes the rocket. Not gonna connect. So obviously, while Arcsecond and Zergby had their wild adventure through the enemy base, Big Ol' Ron was able to just mosey up into the mid lane, take a tower for the trouble. So Arcsecond doesn't connect on Kassadin, but Big Ol' Ron takes a prize either way. Zergby had a little bit of suspect pathing, though. I think he tanked a few too many tower shots that were a little unnecessary.
Yuvitar in trouble. Looks like he will go down here. Saturn doing his best to peel off, but Moonway just so powerful already. Looks like he'll drop as well. Moonway, it's like having knowledge of exactly how to play Kalista has given him some knowledge of this matchup as well, as he just rips through everyone. I was about to say that he's not ex-Pekake the way that he didn't land that rocket, but he's doing a pretty good job in every other aspect of the play, and it looks like they may be able to pick up their third turret here. Maybe and Zergby on the way, though. TP coming in. See Maokai going in as well. Looks like we are going to have the all-in engage here, and finally, I is going to drop down. Kassadin trying to make it out. The double kill as it turns around. Wild Wang in trouble. Big Ol' Ron knocking it back with that smash. It looks like they will have yet another kill. A triple kill for Moonway. And 8-2 the score as this game is blown wide open. And a 5k gold lead now in the favor of Elomingle.
Cute, quirky little flash play that Moonway made there, making sure to dodge the decimating smash CC from Slime to allow him to pick up that triple kill. Was a cheeky attempt to get the Kassadin and Rift Walk to the safeguard Lee Sin over the corner to see if they could get a flank, but flawless teleport from Big Ol' Ron saves the day.
Just excellent map awareness, and of course Wild Wang in a tough spot there along with the rest of his team. They desperately wanted to get something back, and already 15 minutes in, Lee Sin hasn't had as much of an impact as they've needed. This is the point where he's going to start to fall off, unfortunately. Also, doesn't really have any damage either. You can see he has finished the basic jungle item, but has not upgraded it quite yet. Much more of a focus on team presence and utility. And it's an interesting build for Lee Sin, but it just doesn't look too effective.
The one advantage that he will have over Zeriab, Sejuani, as we continue later and later into the game, is the ability to secure and steal away buffs, just because he does have that execute available to him alongside the smite.
Unstoppable Onslaught being used into the top lane. Looks like they want to take down Big Ol' Ron. He is going to get knocked out by the Destiny Smash. There's the follow-up. We have 3 members now on the top side. Saturn on AVI and Wild Wang going down onto him, but Big Ol' Ron is so tanky, they may not be able to kill him quite as quickly as they would like to, and now the rest of the team responding in the mid lane as we see 4 descend upon this mid lane turret, and they may be able to break the tier 2. So many resources burned just to take down that Maokai.
I feel like this has really been the story for Elomingle versus Crewcade so far, with the chase that Arcsecond gave to Zergby, just because it locked up both Zergby and Wild Wang. Resources underneath on the map are able to just take free structural advantages, especially with the Jinx. You cannot leave her unattended in a lane. She just melts through these towers without attack speed.
Well, and of course, just look at the item discrepancy between the AD carries and the kill discrepancy. We have 1 assist and 1 death on the Kalista. No deaths, no assists, but 6 kills on Moonway, along with the completed Infinity Edge and the completed Zeal. Just such a huge amount of power on this Jinx already. I mean, even her base kit would be able to rip through towers, but when you add those 2 items as well, she is absolutely lethal in those push situations.
Question will be if she chooses to go for the static shear over the Phantom Dancer.
Now we'll have to see if they're actually going to finally have their first full 5-on-5 team fight, and how is this exactly going to unfold. Of course, they struggled to kill Big Ol' Ron, but they didn't really have a damage dealer on the top side. We'll have to see if they can do a better job with this Kalista. Of course, Kalista has the Fate's Call available. I'm AVI going in on the Moonway. Looks like they're determined to take him down. They know that he is the majority of the team's gold, 6-0. Maybe I could get caught out there. He has to be careful. Arcsecond looks determined to find something. Does see Kassadin on the way in, though, so he's going to back out. Decides not to stick around on that one. Both teams backing off, of course. Wild Wang on the bottom side trying to apply some pressure onto this turret. And
Moonway applying pressure in the mid lane.
Looks like they are going to start the dragon here on the side of Crewcade. IMAVI trying to solo this one out. Could get caught out, though. That big old Ron moving into the back lines, trying to get some damage down. It's going to use the ultimate. Oh, hitting the Glacial Prison onto 2. Nubitar immediately going to get burned down. Arc second now on a killing spree. IMAVI next. Saturn immediately after that. Elomingle looking absolutely unstoppable. The only members left standing, Wild Wang and Zergby, as their lineup gets ripped through. A beautiful Glacial Prison from Zeriab, an amazing follow-up from Moonway and Arc second.
And this was the definitive decision-making that we were expecting to see from the NACS veterans coming out. Elomingle looking far more confident in all of their calls. Good split pressure, the fact that they killed not only 2 members as well as took the dragon, but hold on, Moonway in trouble now.
Is going to get shut down there. Unstoppable Onslaught doing its job, keeping the Jinx locked down. Of course, giving the kill over to Zergby, and the shutdown means he's going to have about 700 additional gold in his pocket. Will be able to finish with those Sorcerer's Shoes if he so chooses, or get a little bit more for himself. But Arc second on the way to the bot lane, potentially to get something back. So a small advantage given back to Crewcade, but not a whole ton here, as we do see the 7k gold lead now stacked in the favor of Elomingle.
The question will really be if Moonway and Elomingle can work together to keep him safe, to make sure that his damage stays consistent and that he's able to have perfect team fights like that, where your CC locks up, Twisted Advance goes in, Glacial Prism follows, and Jinx just gets to stand and free hit in the back. Because there are answers on the side of Crewcade to make a Jinx disappear. You have the Cassidon, who's going to scale fantastically into late game, also picking up, free kills, free shutdown bonuses. Callista really power spikes after 2 items versus 3 completed items that most AD carries will get. Of course, if Lee Sin's able to insect back there or assassinate, we saw Moonway was in some trouble when Zergby and AVI were threatening to go over the back of the pit on the initial dragon setup. So, I mean, it's not over and done with for Crewcade just yet.
Definitely not. They always can find a way back in this game, especially with that Callista pick, but they are running out of options, and they can't really afford to make too many more mistakes here. Arc second might try to get something down on the wild line. Big Ron getting hooked up. IMAVI, though, caught out. Could be in trouble. Binded and locked down, knocked down by Biofrost. A beautiful binding and pool to follow up. Taking that one, I think, on accident, but either way, grabbing the kill. It's going to make it so much easier for Elomingle to take their next set of towers or their next objective in general. Of course, now just pushing in on the top side of the map. See if they can get anything else as we start to move in here slowly but surely. Wild Wang move in here, gonna get locked down, potentially in trouble here. We do see them moving in. Nubitar caught out, locked out. Wild Wang in trouble as well, getting burned through slowly but surely. Saturn and Zergby locked up. Zergby may go down here as well. We do see the Twisted Advance move on to him. Big ol' Ron stranded a little bit too far into the turret. Wild Wang going to pick up that kill. Moonway doing so much. IMAVI trying to get a kill back, but just doesn't do enough damage. Moonway will not die. He finally goes down. 3 kills picked up in favor. 4 for 3 exchange. Still going to go in the favor of Elomingle. Or sorry, of Crewcade.
I was going to say, that definitely went in the favor for Crewcade. Elomingle, a little bit too thirsty right there, diving far too deep, not really respecting the towers. It was a good initial zone from Biofrost to get behind the tower to release the Soul Shackles, but I think it was more supposed to be used as a zoning tool to secure the tower, but either a communication fumble, team getting a little too greedy, they decide to dive the tower and really get punished for it. So Crewcade managed to pick up a few more kills, stacking onto that Cassidon, make their game a little bit easier, but Elomingle, I don't think that they'll make the same mistake again.
No, maybe a little bit more patience from them when it comes to sieging. Obviously, they burned through a couple characters pretty quickly. Nubitar getting locked down, but diving that tower, a little over-aggressive, and then pushing in for the 3rd tier as well. They're very reliant on Big ol' Ron in these team fights, and of course, him getting burned down so early on. It's definitely not going to move in their favor. We just see teams resigned to clearing out their own jungle. A little bit of vision being placed down in this dragon area. Jinx and Morgana on the bottom side, so things appear to have calmed down at least a little bit. IMAVI trying to clear out this vision before securing this blue buff for Cassidon. Of course, LeBlanc going to be doing the same on the blue side of the map.
Dragon will go live within the 2-minute warning, so 1 minute 45 seconds. We'll see if Elomingle decide again to try to make a play on the top side of the map, while they have a window of opportunity to not be on bottom side because there's no dragon to contest, or if they're going to resign themselves to farming, clearing out their own jungles, and just setting up and waiting for that next big 5v5 on Dragon Pit.
Kalista, of course, clearing out that top side, maybe resigned to farming herself, but now moving in as well. I'm ABI. Not gonna find the, not gonna follow up the kick there. Probably a good choice overall. His body was not telling him yes. We'll back off in that exchange.
This looks pretty good. I mean, his scoreline doesn't necessarily show some of the big plays and impacts he's attempted to get going for this game. And oh, wow, that is a very early Baron King.
Moonway, of course, just so powerful, has the tanky stats from big old Ron and Zeriab to allow him to just DPS this Baron down. Wildling maybe able to get a turret here, but has to be careful. Arc second alone, kind of solo, providing the pressure. Locking down them as they try to get this, and of course Jinx going to be the one to take that. A huge misstep. I'm ABI going to get burned down as well. Wildling trapped in this pit, going to flash over the wall. Biofrost solo trying to bully these guys out, and that will be Baron going down on the side of Elomingle, and an early aggressive Baron is paying off for them. Those improved recalls letting them get back so quickly.
High risk, high reward. They roll the dice, they come up big, and this will surely be a massive upswing for them in a free dragon. But wow, that was close. AVI didn't even get his smite off, and Jinx is the one that picks up the Baron, so we know that Zeriab's smite was just missed.
And, I mean, yeah, just
he was
such.
it.
I mean, he threw out the Glacial Prison a little early, tried to lock down I'm ABI, you know, tried to make sure that he couldn't get in there, of course. Ward hops over the wall, but overall, you're right, just so ridiculously close, and it feels more like luck than anything else for Elomingle, but they've been playing so proficiently so far, maybe working out for them well overall, and now the Dragon gonna drop. Zeriab not gonna smite this one either. Besides, he, you know, maybe doesn't need it. I'm ABI though, gonna make it out of there. Thresh Express taking him to safety. Wildling doing his best to stop Big Ol' Ron from pushing in, but clearly this matchup no longer going in his favor. This Big Ol' Ron is just so far ahead.
With these Baroned up creeps, and Jinx with her Phantom Dancer and Infinity Edge complete, this tower will be shredded through. See if they're able to break the inhib.
Now, of course, they do have that Baron empowered cannon minion, so they can just stand on that and try to protect it as best they can. There's not really any ranged wave clear on the opposite side, but it looks like instead they're going to move their attention to the mid lane. Or maybe to the top side, as we do see Zeriab move forward. Biofrost going to back off here. Pick up some more charges for that Sightstone, and a lot of vision being placed on the top side of the map. Looks like we may see a pick coming out here from Elomingle in the future.
And this is what we talked about in Champions, like the big primary difference between these two mid laners, LeBlanc and Cassidy. They're both assassins. They're going to have decent mid games and late games. Obviously, Cassidy's going to be favored a little bit more as a traditional hard carry or hyper carry from that position. But Arc Second is providing so much more wave clear with his distortion versus Cassidy. Most of their wave clear is going to come from Kalista's Rend with her Hurricane now, and a Wildwing Scion clear.
And that's a tough spot to be in, especially against a lineup with such huge range on that Jinx, as well as the Baron buff. We'll have to see if Elomingle want to push this in. It should be pretty easy for them if they have the patience to siege down this inhibitor tower. It looks like they might be going for a little bit alternative route. It looks like they might try to take this a little bit slower. I want to make sure not to make any mistakes here. Wildwing, though, getting locked down. Could be in trouble as they move in onto him, but they've learned better. To follow up. Arc Second lockdown, though. They may be able to burn down this LeBlanc. The Ignite goes down. The shutdown as well. The Glacial Prison coming out, trying desperately to disengage with LeBlanc out of the picture. They could be in trouble. Moonway kicked out of the fight. Kalista dealing so much damage from the backside. No one able to contest that one. Saturn and Wildwing flying out as well. Zeriab could go down here. But of course, the duel not going in their favor as Big Ol' Ron makes it in and is able to lock down that Kalista. Saturn staying too long as well, trying to get something back onto Moonway. The triple kill. Now going over to Moonway, 12, 2, and 3. The Jinx was just too strong. Taking LeBlanc out of the fight was not enough.
It was initially a really good ultimate from AVI. He kicked Jinx out of from behind his team, kind of into the open where Zerby was able to jump on him, but a fantastic response flash from Moonway gets him right back underneath his team and starts putting out that massive Jinx damage as he runs away with the triple kill and the inhibitor.
Of course, Big Ol' Ron coming in so strong as well. The Twisted Advance, that targeted CC, locking down the Kalista, makes it so easy to take her down. I'm ABI grasping at straws here as he tries to grab that kill, and Zergby gonna go down as well. Nope, maybe not. We've seen this one go in Zergby's favor before. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt here and just assume he'll make it out. Moonway, though, not gonna chase. Decides better of it. But now, a 12k gold lead in the favor of Elomingle, and almost nothing is stopping them now that they've broken the inhibitor line.
Good news, the Baron buff is down.
Don't worry, boys. We got it. We got it.
It was worth. Slightly better news. Out of all the inhibitors to lose, the top lane would be your most preferred. Just because obviously if you lose that bottom inhibitor, it pretty much guarantees a free Baron second rotation when it comes up. The mid inhibitor is going to give the enemy team the most passive map control. So, I mean, if you're going to lose one, you'd want it to be that top inhib. See? You could spin it.
Let's see if they can and find a way back in this game. Obviously, it's going to be tough for them. Zeriab, interestingly enough, going to transfer that Gromp on over to Moonway. Maybe Moonway going to be able to finish up that Bloodthirster on his next back. We'll have to see. He does have a lot of gold in his inventory. And Jinx now at 5 items. It's really going to be tough for Moonway to do, or sorry, Nubitar to do much of anything against this Jinx pick. Just now finishing his second, and kind of the struggle for gold for everyone on the Crewcade lineup. It's a rough game, and I think you're right. It's good that the top inhibitor was the one to go down, but it just feels like this Jinx is so powerful that they can just walk it down any lane they want at this point in the game.
They do have a window of opportunity where they know that Moonway doesn't have his flash, and again, he's on a very immobile AD carry, so it would actually be beneficial if they could look for a pick on Jinx now. The issue, however, is that Moonway is no longer just the only problem. It was for a while that he was pretty much his entire team's gold, which he's still a very large portion of it, being 13, 2, and 3. I bet his AlphaDraft scores are looking fantastic. But Arc second has come up with a couple of kills. His own is now sitting 5, 1, and 5, and that LeBlanc is also a massive problem because they both have their 30 completed items. And as I say that, look at that damage.
Absolutely insane. A single binding leading into an instant kill. Biofrost, really the unsung hero of this game as he moves to 1, 2, and 16. Has participated in 17 out of 21 kills. Moonway could be in trouble, though. I think they're not going to follow it up. That Black Shield's so important, making it so difficult as they will grab that kill onto Wild Wang. Wild Wang is on before him, trying to take out Zeriab. Zeriab will go down here, but Saturn locked up as well as Moonway gets the reset, and he is excited as he rips through 2 members of the team. Nubitar barely making it out with his life. And now it looks like with the creeps pushing in, they may be able to end this game. Elomingle desperately need this one after their last defeat. LeBlanc going to pick up that kill on the Nubitar, and now it looks like the systematic end on the side of Elomingle. I'm AVI, trying to make something happen, trying to find a way out. Not going to slow anybody down or kick anybody back. The Black Shield just a little bit too strong. Now Jinx just padding her stats. Participated in 20 out of 25 kills.
And that's fairly impressive when you're the AD carry. If you think a lot of the AD carry's time goes to farming, they don't really become a big source of power until they have that 3-item power spike. Obviously, Moonway's performance was inflated because he got fed so early, which kind of speaks to how well Elomingle handled the lane swap and making the correct call to protect Moonway